Second, I predict that no transition has a possibility of occurring until we have a severe dollar and treasury market crisis. And the predictable responses of the governments and central banks will be to alter their balance sheets so that in the end results are most powerful for themselves and maintain control over their populations. It is also unlikely that central bankers will be able to break their habit of using their counterfeiting powers. And for this reason, I regard that changing from the current fiat monetary system to gold backing is dangerous, in fact. If you leave the bankers the ability to create deposits from thin air, one should not be surprised when they exercise this yet again, this time stealing the gold. On to my plan. Everyone here should understand just how tightly legal tender laws enable the Federal Reserve's money printing, the federal income tax, and the U.S. Treasury market, and our individual lives as part of an economy. It is an intertwined house of cards where if you remove one card, all of the rest will quickly crumble. And that's not surprising since the whole tyrannical system was designed by a bunch of Keynesian economists who, in my humble opinion, can best be described as quacks. I propose complete separation of the Federal Reserve System from the free market system that will replace it. On one hand, you have the Fed. Recall that the Fed's power really stems from two abilities. One, to control interest rates, and number two, to create money. Congress should pass a bill abolishing the Fed and as quickly as possible install direct congressional oversight of monetary policy. All the Treasury debt owned by the Fed, close to half the total, would be immediately canceled. The Federal Reserve note would be replaced with a fiat United States note at a parity with the Federal Reserve note. The entire banking system should immediately stop extension of fraudulent dollars with money that does not meet fractional reserve requirements, which again would need to be reset since they don't currently exist. Any money creation should be presented as a typical bill subject to a public vote of Congress, and the control of the interest rate in this currency would then be left up to the free market. On the other hand, we have the free market, which is completely divorced of this Federal Reserve nonsense mess. Immediately, Congress should remove all capital gains taxes on physical gold and silver. Just as was done with the Coinage Act of 1792, the United States Mint should be open to provide free coinage of uniform gold and silver coins. So if anyone has a bar or coins from Canada, what have you, they can be brought to the mints, assayed, and then a set formula of different size coins delivered. At the same time the mints are open, legal tender laws should be removed. Merchants, buyers, and sellers will then have the ability to decide which forms of payment they wish to accept. Barring psychological events such as hyperinflation, the Federal Reserve notes and new United States notes would continue to have purchasing power, since in a monetary sense they will still be scarce, but they will not be able to compete long-term with gold and silver. Following Gresham's law, the tendency will still be to spend the fiat money first, which may result in possibly easing a dollar price discovery for gold and silver, and eventually go down to gold grams and silver ounces, and a fairly smooth transition to the free market. Foreign creditors will be unhappy as Treasury and agency debt will likely either be formally repudiated, which is canceled, or indirectly canceled, as they could be paid back with notes that are no longer backed by anything, which is the current case. However, I want to point out that the endless enslavement of future generations by Congress is in itself illegitimate in the first place. Also, the federal income tax, which plundered $1.2 trillion in 2008, will likely not survive the removal of legal tender law, which would be a good thing. So we would be better off just abolishing this tax and recall our expensive $1+ trillion overseas military empire, which temporarily issues new United States notes in the meantime. Now, what goes without saying is that this period would probably be fairly chaotic. It was actually after the revolution ended in 1776 as well. But as stated previously, it's my opinion that it is highly unlikely that any such political process would begin without a dollar and treasury crisis already in progress, and already caused by the failed monetary policies of the central banks. It is my belief that without the legal assistance of government, the same steps will likely be followed by the free market via black markets, and people simply obeying the government to continue their lives over a much longer period of time. It is also why the more sudden, polite plan is in some ways more attractive than my proposal, because you can cauterize the central bank and the restoration of sound money could practically occur overnight. Now, how is it likely that either the NASO, Polite, or my plans are to be enacted? And I would say, in all honesty, the probability is extremely small at the current time. But I would also add that the possibilities of the current monetary system surviving for the rest of our lifetimes is indeed much, much smaller. The times we live in now are unlike any before in human history, when the entire world, not just the United States, is on the same unsustainable fiat currency system. The most probable future I see ahead would be much slower and drawn out over years or possibly even a decade, barring psychological currency events. I expect to see the reverse of the breakdown in the Bretton Woods system. I expect the future, in reality, to bring financial market instability in bonds, equities, and derivatives, fixed foreign exchange rates, fixed trading windows for gold, and the possible introduction of Federal Reserve gold certificate ratio, whereby the Federal Reserve pegs the dollar to a trading range based on reinstated United States monetary supply figures, which could possibly be the M3 figure. Unfortunately, if history teaches us anything at all, more war will occur to distract a population hit by economic unrest and a drop in living standards. So in conclusion, in the meantime, those who have studied monetary history will be accruing gold and silver in the meantime, and hopefully more and more people like myself and yourselves will stand up to educate the rest of America and fight to gain back both our economic and our personal liberties. I happen to be pretty pessimistic in the short term, but in the long term, there is a future without the Fed that is worth striving for. Imagine an America where the family no longer must send both parents to work while sending the children to daycare. Imagine America where the money saved in the present day is worth the same or even more decades later, enabling individuals to pursue retirements or have more leisure time for personal pursuits. Imagine an America where simply everyone owns what they work for. The more people that stand united against the Fed, the better off society will be in the long run. The main weapon against the Fed is simply educating the public. Thank you.